my channel. So this week I'm going to be posting every single day. So today is Monday. I literally just got back from school and today's video is called I Want Affectionate Friends. So what does that mean and why are we talking about it? Well, let's get into the video. So first thing is just like a little preface. I've been going through a lot lately and it would just be really nice to have like some of the different types of affections that I'm gonna list today, because something that I feel is really necessary in my life as of recently is intimacy with others and intimacy with myself in regards to emotional intimacy. It could also be physical intimacy, like hugging, holding hands, whatever the situation is, but some of the different concepts of affection that I have listed here are just some of the things that I think are appropriate amongst friends. Everybody has a different definition of that, but we'll get into that as well. So first, I have listed here that genuine friendships usually involve some form of affection. This doesn't mean that because you've known, whatever guy best friend for the last 12 years that you guys are necessarily sleeping in the same bed together every time he comes into town to visit. That's not necessarily what that means. So I wouldn't necessarily take the word affection and relate that to romance as easily as we do in our society. I would separate friendship from romance actually completely, because we give affection all the time. There's been plenty of times where I've been talking to somebody and they've grabbed my wrist. There's been plenty of times where I just don't feel connected to somebody because they're not making eye contact, they're not making any effort to get closer to me, to hear me better, to appear intrigued when I'm saying certain things. So there's a lot of different layers that come down to the complex variations of affection, but also just the ways in which we showcase our love and appreciation for the people in our life. When it comes to your friendships with people, I feel like your overall definition of what's appropriate and what's not is entirely up to the two people who are participating in that friendship. Now, there's a multitude of elements that also play a role in what affection looks like in friendships, and that's either seeing that if you possibly have feelings for that person that you are so-called friends with, or if you're in your relationship, or if you're hoping to pursue a relationship by means of showing these types of affection, then this video is really not for you. So, and that's not to say that you can't watch it, of course, but it's just to say that I'm talking about forms of affection for people who are really just looking towards creating a deeper bond with their friends that they kind of already have, that they want to just simply be their friends. They're not necessarily dealing with the complexities of being in a relationship. They're just dealing with pretty much the standard the standard platonic relationship they have with a friend in their life. So, as far as my definition of genuine is concerned, I do really like to invest in my friends in a way that feels honest and feels down to earth and feels authentic to who I really am. So oftentimes that means if something is wrong, I'm pretty upfront about that. I'm not one to hide that or one to disguise what I'm feeling with them, because if they're my friends, they're usually a group of people that I can trust to share these type of deep emotional feelings and burdens I have, with them in that moment. If I just need to express myself, either venting or seeking another form of affection, which could be a hug. Sometimes people just need to cry, have a hug. They're talking, they're venting, they get emotional, they may need one. But then you have some more playful types of affection, and that is probably more so the holding hands, playing in one's hair. There's a lot of things, sharing clothes. There's a lot of different things that kind of play a role in what we define as affection. But like I said, I do want to emphasize that just because you're physically showcasing how you feel about somebody, physically altering your more orthodox approach to how you treat somebody that you care for and you call a friend, does not mean that you were then initiating a romantic gesture, does not mean that you were then asking them to reciprocate in a romantic way. So something that I really do want to preface is that boundaries are really important when it comes to friendships. So emotional boundaries, physical boundaries, whatever. But right now we're talking about physical boundaries. So when it comes to physical boundaries, what we really want to think about is how far is it that we're willing to go with this person? You know, some friends, they can get dressed and be naked in the same room and not have a single look shared between the two of them. That's awkward. Some people, they have to step outside. You know, others, they can't really share clothes with their friends. Maybe there's a size difference or just because of comfortability issue. You know, some people, they will stay the night at a friend's house, have sleepovers and do things like that. That's not necessarily everybody's preference. You know, you may be in a relationship and trying to balance what that looks like while in a friendship and sleeping in the same bed with a friend of yours. That is for another video. But for the people who really aren't dabbling in that realm and are just friend to friend, usually single people, you know, think about it maybe from this perspective of just trying to open up your mind to the possibility that you won't be as comfortable as you think you are. Now, consent is a really big thing, so don't just hop into your friend's bed and be like, all right, time to go to sleep. That's weird. Don't do that. So maybe a more fragile and sensitive way to go about it is to say, because like I said, it's a very fragile conversation because some people are very uncomfortable with certain things and some people are more so flexible and comfortable with these type of concepts and ideas and unorthodox approaches to normality. But that's not everybody's experience. So when you're coming forth in this conversation with these people, it's really important to make sure that you have a pretty good idea about what it is you want from them. Like, don't just say, I want more affection. I want more hand-holding. I want more hugs when I'm sad. I need more in-depth conversation, and I need to feel like I'm the only person in the room when I'm getting those conversations from you. Sometimes I feel like and then give them a reason. So maybe you need that more in-depth conversation. Sometimes I feel like I need more eye contact from you. You're very all over the place. You're looking over here. Sometimes you're talking to another friend of ours when I'm explaining something that's on my heart. Maybe I need a hug because that's just what I'm used to. You know, the way I was raised. I grew up and I always got a hug when I was crying. We always went out and got ice cream. Or all of these little traditions and beliefs and ways in which we were raised are incorporated in the needs and wants and desires we have for our friendships, and especially our relationships, but more so in our affection styles. So when it comes down to it, you really just want to be clear and honest, you know, give them what you want, the reason for it, and why that's even coming up in the first place. You know, what is it that went wrong? Maybe there was a specific instance where you felt as though this was missing, which has then led you to realizing that this is what you want, and then has led you to having an explanation for why it is you want this in the first place. Don't make them fill in all of the blanks for you. That's very confusing, and for such a complex conversation between two individuals who are trying to maintain a platonic relationship, it's very difficult to conceptualize all of that on the receiving end. So really just try to articulate yourself as fluidly as you can, but also just be open-minded to the possibility that they may say no. So that's when, you know, when we get into consent and we talk about what they're comfortable with what versus you're comfortable with, that's a part of it as well. Because if your friend doesn't think that they need to do anything else to be more affectionate, either you can compromise and find a way so that there is a form of affection that meets their needs but also their comfort zone. But sometimes you can push your friends a little bit further and say, I deserve that deep conversation from you. I deserve to have your attention when I'm seeing something really deep and really hurtful to me, or something that was really just so traumatic for me. I deserve just your attention, you know, because that's all affection really is a different direction for the attention we're giving to the people in our lives. And that's why I really love to make the distinction between romantic attention, non-platonic attention, platonic attention, and just friend attention. You know what I mean? And I guess it all leads back to boundaries. You know, if you have the clear ideas of what you want, why you want it, where these feelings are coming from in the first place, you really don't have to do a lot of backtracking and reworking and wiring and everything to figure out, okay, what is it that I'm gonna say? What is it that I'm gonna do? Whatever. it kind of eliminates a lot of that confusion, and that's why you need to be prepared. And I would hope that videos like this would then help you articulate yourself better at those times, because you don't want to cause any sort of conflict or confrontation, hopefully not, but you just want to be clear about what it is you want from this person. So also, something that's also really important to add on to what you want from this person: if you're uncertain about how it is you feel about somebody, maybe this isn't the best time to ask them for something that could potentially lead to something that could alter your mental emotional state. And I'm not going to go into the whole cross relationships and I'm in a relationship with this person, I want to do the I'm not going to go into all of that, because I think that, like I said, that's another video, that's another sort of conversation. But just as a quick brief statement, if you're at all confused about how you feel about a friend of yours, do not initiate anything at all that would leave you in a vulnerable position. I just don't believe that that's smart. And this, of course, is just my opinion. You can take it with a grain of salt if you want. It won't offend me. But if you think that at any point you are questioning your feelings for somebody that you were supposed to be quote unquote friends with, and this goes for if you're in a relationship and if you're not, I do not suggest that you use this opportunity to platonically initiate friendly touch, friendly affection and compassion, to then use that as a filter to translate all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions in a romantic sense. Not only will you set yourself up for disappointment, but you'll end up feeling a sense of rejection, because then that person doesn't know that you really want something romantic from them, but they have this assumption in the back of their mind that what you really want from them is just friendly. So they will oftentimes, if comfortable, will reciprocate in a friendly manner. But the minute you step out of the line in that way and you kind of set it up the situation to be something that they're not expecting to reciprocate, you set yourself up for disappointment. So just try to be responsible with your heart, with your feelings, with your emotions, because in the end of the day, affection can lead to other things. It can lead to, some heavy petting. It could even lead to sex. But what's really important is understanding why you want what you want in the first place. And that's why I call it the first step, is understanding why. Because, if I want to go all the way with this person and I have not communicated that and I'm presenting it to them as if it's just this pretty wrapped present and it's something that's not going to pop out and scare them at any point because they don't feel that way towards me, then I'm then setting myself up in a situation that could potentially harm my mental state, leave me in a vulnerable place, cause a really difficult circumstance for the friendship, possibly even ruin it altogether. So really have a really clear outline of what it is you want from that person. So like I said, that's kind of more of another video. I'll probably go into that later on if this video does well and if that's what I see my viewers are interested in. But as far as boundaries are concerned, you need to be very straightforward about them, very clear, very honest. So, just with me being honest here, I had an instance with a friend not too long ago, actually, and it was a communication error. And it was because she thought something was implied and I thought something wasn't said at all. The fact of the matter is nothing was said at all. And that's why she thought it was implied. So, I bring this up to say that sometimes when we're in vulnerable positions and we're expecting something of somebody, a friend, a partner, a family member, whomever, we need to be clear about what it is we need from them. So people will give you what they're used to giving others. People will give you what they would give themselves sometimes if they were in your position, or sometimes not at all. But anyway, people will give you what they believe you deserve. So you have to be honest with yourself and say, like, is this what I really want from this person? Did I like this type of affection? Do I want this type of communication? You need to have all of that previously outlined and organized so that when you are coming to this person and trying to re-correct or trying to kind of push something in line or help something out that just wasn't really all that cohesive prior to, you need to really state what it is that you need from them in the future. It's not to say that that person has never done that before, or that they're a bad person or something's wrong with them. It's just to say that sometimes people have expectations of others that they're not aware of. So some people, they're like, I do this with all my other friends, why would you be any different? They understand it, they whatever, but you're a different person, and you need to come forth and explain that. You can't expect for people to read your mind. You can't expect for people to just automatically understand where you're at. It's your job to advocate for yourself. You have to be your biggest advocate. So, just a little bit of a summary. When it comes to asking friends for affection, you have to understand why you're asking. Are you asking because you want to initiate something non-platonic, or are you asking because you want to continue the very platonic, friendly relationship you have? You also have to consider the facets of why I'm asking. Where is this coming from? What instance sparked this one thing that made me feel like I really need this from this person? You have to know the why, you have to know what you're asking for, and you have to know where that's coming for. So if you can remember what, why, and where, you have to allow for all of those things to dictate how it is you handle those conversations with people. Because if you don't have any way of categorizing these kind of, like I said, very hard things to conceptualize when you're on the receiving end, like affection with friends, like a lot of people in their normal minds are like, why would we cuddle? Why would we hold hands? Why would we, like, they don't understand that. So you need to come to them very gentle, because it's a very fragile conversation for a lot of people. They may be very outside of their comfort zone, and they might feel like you're coming on to them or whatever. So you need to be mindful of that. You need to know what it is you're saying right off the bat. You need to know when it is you're asking for. So what, when, why, where. You need to know when it is you're asking for it. When do you want this type of affection? When I'm sad, when I'm angry, when you sleep over at my house, when we're playing cards. I don't know. You need to ask this thing of them, because when it comes to these situations and these dynamics, it will go right over their head if it's not directly mentioned to them. Like I said, it's not other people's responsibility to read your mind. Now, if somebody's known you for 12 years and they've been friends with you, and you haven't ever mentioned this before, you might catch them off guard, because they probably think they know just about damn well everything about you, but turns out they probably don't. So make sure, like I said, you're being gentle. Some people you can be more upfront with, more straightforward. Some people have already explored this before and just find out it didn't work for them. That's fine. You can try something else, compromise, switch it up, whatever the situation is. It's a very fluid conversation. But in the end of the day, really try to hone in on the what am I asking, the when am I asking for it, the why am I asking this in the first place, what triggered this emotion, this need, and where are we going to be that this type of affection is going to take place? Because you're probably not going to be holding hands with your friend in front of their significant other. You're probably not going to be hugging up on them when they're, in their happiest state. So these boundaries and all of these different comfort zones will all be evened out and level with this type of conversation. So I'm really glad that we had this conversation, hippies, because I think it's really important, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's something I've thought about for a while now. I've read several articles about people who have tried out similar things. I've read articles from things as extreme as hiring a professional cuddler to kissing a friend occasionally who actually has an opposing sexual orientation. I've read quite a bit of the spectrum. But, in this video, we do cover a pretty regular overview of, usually single people, friend-to-friend relationships. And that's okay. If you want something more complex, we can go there. But it will be a longer video. So hold on tight. Bring a water bottle, get your notepad, bring a snack. We're going to be ready for you. But I really enjoyed filming this video today. Thank you for hanging in there. If you waited all the way to the end, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't do the other two, please just leave a comment. I love when people say, I really like that video, or, about my comedic yoga video, a woman had reached out and said something very sweet about that. I just love hearing feedback. That's my favorite. I don't care if you subscribe or if you like or whatever, but just give me some feedback. Let me know where you're at. Let me know who you are, where you're located. And yeah, that's all, hippies. Bye. Love you.